Your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're going to do this?
It's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight.
For that, Floyd is the best fighter, in his era. And I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
In response to Floyd Mayweather Jr. calling out Terence Crawford, Stephen A. Smith said that modern boxing has developed a habit of holding certain fighters back while placing too much hype around others. He emphasized that Crawford has earned far greater recognition for both his skill set and everything he has already accomplished inside the ring. Smith also noted that Mayweather is at a different stage of life now and no longer the same version of the fighter fans once saw at his peak. From his perspective, the real conversation should stay centered on just how dominant Crawford has been, rather than getting lost in unfair comparisons that take attention away from appreciating his genuine greatness.
What he had to say about you when he said you're way better than Floyd Money Mayweather. I know you heard that he said that. What thoughts came to your mind when you heard that Canelo Alvarez said that about you?
Hey, that's a big compliment. He's been in the ring with both of us, so he would know, from his own experience. A lot of people, they can say this, they can say that, but there's only, a few people that can say they've been in the ring with Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather and get a...
Shane Mosley explained that both Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather Jr. are exceptional fighters, but he made a point to note that Crawford is naturally the larger man. According to Mosley, that physical size and added strength give Crawford an edge in situations where Floyd, especially at middleweight, did not enjoy the same natural advantages. At the same time, he gave strong praise to Mayweather's technical brilliance, highlighting his precision, ring awareness, and calculated style. Mosley emphasized that Floyd consistently found ways to overcome naturally bigger opponents through elite defensive ability and an extremely high boxing IQ, whereas Crawford does not often face that exact same size disadvantage. From Mosley's perspective, Mayweather's legacy is ultimately rooted in skill, adaptability, and intelligence inside the ring far more than any reliance on raw physical size or power.
He's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather.
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is there.
In a conversation with Ariel Helwani, Terence Crawford told fans that only Canelo Alvarez can truly speak on the difference, since he has been in the ring with both Crawford and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Crawford explained that the two matchups took place under completely different circumstances, though he pointed out that Mayweather fought Canelo when Canelo was still young and developing, whereas Crawford faced him as a fully established 168-pound champion performing at the highest level of his career. Even with Canelo being the naturally bigger fighter, Crawford still came away with a victory, which in his view further showcased both his physical strength and technical ability. Crawford added that if Canelo said he felt more power from him, it simply reinforces the idea that greatness can look different depending on the fighter and the era they belong to.
Cooking right there, because there was this thought, this prevailing thought that the smaller man always loses to the bigger man. This was repeated time and again throughout the fight week. And he proved that that's not the case. Again, I hope you all recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August, was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023. Came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was. standing face to face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved. Because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people will be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good.
When Floyd Mayweather Jr. faced Canelo Alvarez, trainer Greg Hackett described Floyd's approach as a work of a fully disciplined and complete boxer. According to him, Mayweather's style in that fight was exceptionally sharp, controlled, and consistent from the opening bell to the final round. Hackett believes that is what separates Floyd from Terence Crawford, whose style he sees as more aggressive and less predictable. He explained that Crawford often depends on sudden defensive reactions and mid-fight strategic adjustments, while Mayweather's strength in the Canelo bout came from executing every movement with exact precision all the way through. Although Hackett acknowledged Crawford's tremendous success and accomplishments, he still feels Mayweather's performance against Canelo remains a more impressive showing overall.
Floyd Mayweather, that Canelo Alvarez fought.
Yeah.
In the last version of Terence Crawford that we've seen in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's the better fighter, Jay?
Of course you got to give it to Floyd. Floyd at that time, Ben, what's up? Floyd at that time versus Canelo was in total confidence. His skill set, his IQ, you know what I'm saying? Everything he do, he was just a complete fighter that night. But I feel like was up against a lot because he was fighting a guy that we knew something about, but we ain't know too much about. People don't understand how much a fighter could be thrown off by what he don't know. And the reason it throws you off is because you're actually learning about the fighter while you in there. That's what Bud went up against that night. That's why he didn't look so great. To me, I could be wrong, but he didn't look so great to me because he was learning a lot about Madrimov while he was in there with Madrimov.
Max Kellerman compared the careers of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford by emphasizing how differently they approach their paths through boxing. He explained that once Mayweather moved up from lightweight, he became highly selective about his opponents, ensuring that every matchup was carefully aligned with his long-term strategy. By contrast, Kellerman said Crawford has taken a very different route, often stepping into difficult challenges without much hesitation. In his view, Crawford appears far more willing to embrace risk. While Mayweather's career was built around calculated matchmaking and strategic decision-making, he also made it clear that this difference does not take anything away from Floyd's greatness. Instead, Kellerman believes it highlights Crawford's determination to keep testing himself across multiple weight classes against strong, proven competition.
Because, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. That makes a difference to...
Terence Crawford has openly said that he believes he will be able to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. at Floyd's absolute best. He made it clear that the statement does not come from disrespect, but from genuine belief in his own abilities as a fighter. Crawford has consistently praised Mayweather's brilliance in the ring, yet he feels that his own versatility, power, and ability to switch stances seamlessly would give him the advantage in a head-to-head matchup. Rather than trying to take anything away from Floyd's accomplishments, he speaks from the perspective of a true competitor, someone who measures himself against the very highest standard boxing has ever seen.
I think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me?
No questions?
Well, why would you think that I would say Floyd? That's one of my favorite fighters. But
Jeff Mayweather told fans that Floyd Mayweather Jr. was no longer at his absolute peak when he stepped into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. According to Jeff, Floyd was older, a touch slower, and not quite as razor-sharp as a version that once ruled multiple weight divisions. Even with that decline, he still found a way to beat Canelo through timing, skill, and ring experience. Jeff's view is that many people leave out this important context when they compare that performance to Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo. His central point is that the circumstances around both fights were completely different. Floyd was already approaching the later stage of his prime, while Crawford was still operating at the very peak of his abilities, which in Jeff's opinion makes simple one-to-one comparisons unfair.
So if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course.
Yeah, nobody had it.
And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, I'm still very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
man, that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
Want
to make himself look like he did something great.
Stephen A. Smith said that Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez stands out as one of the most thrilling fight boxing fans have seen in recent years. He praised Crawford for rising above the challenge of facing a naturally bigger opponent, especially while being viewed as a smaller and less physically imposing fighter. Smith explained that the matchup showcased far more than just Crawford's technical brilliance. It also proved his ability to captivate and entertain the audience under brightest lights. In his view, fighters like Crawford are essential for the sport because they blend elite talent with excitement, creating the kind of performances that make every major fight feel unforgettable.
3,482 people showed up for this fight. But the biggest props of the night goes to Terence Crawford, who did not disappoint. He was supposed to be the smaller man. He was supposed to be the weaker man. He was supposed to be the man that was going to spend the entire night on his bicycle, running for his damn life because Saul Canelo Alvarez was coming his way. That is not what happened. What happened instead, ladies and gentlemen, was a masterclass in boxing by Terence Crawford. Now, to me, the fight, some people were saying it was just severely lopsided and stuff like that. I'm not going for that. I'm not feeling that at all. It wasn't like that at all, okay? I had the fight 5-4 in favor of Terence Crawford after 9 rounds. It could have gone either way. And then he basically put on a boxing clinic over the last 3 rounds of the fight. And one rounds 10, 11, and 12. He used his jab. He kept his distance. He exchanged when necessary, which is something that I was scared to death of him doing. But he wasn't scared at all. Okay?
Another boxing supporter explained that Floyd Mayweather Jr. built a massive worldwide following by retiring undefeated and repeatedly generating huge pay-per-view numbers. At the same time, he believes Terence Crawford may possess even greater natural talent, largely because of how unique his style is, though he pointed to Crawford's natural southpaw stance and his ability to switch stances effortlessly, which makes him especially difficult for opponents to read and adjust to. In his view, Crawford can take control of fight in a way that brings back memories of Mayweather's ring command, yet he still adds his own signature touch through sharp timing, precise punching, and an unusually calm presence under pressure.
Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork. It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Many people in boxing continue to push back against the non-stop comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford. Their view is that Mayweather's level of dominance was one of a kind and not something that can simply be recreated by another fighter, no matter how talented. Even when Crawford delivers impressive performances, they still place Floyd above everyone else because of his unmatched defensive brilliance, ring intelligence, and complete control over the pace of fight, qualities I believe no one has truly replicated. Some critics also argue that part of Crawford's rising reputation is fueled more by the search for the next Mayweather than by results alone. They point out that the two built their legacies through very different styles and career choices. Floyd's path was centered on defensive mastery, tactical discipline, and smart business decisions, while Crawford's approach leans more towards stance switching, forward pressure, and a willingness to embrace risk. According to these analysts, the debate often overlooks those obvious stylistic and strategic differences, turning the comparison into something driven more by fan excitement than genuine similarity, which can make the conversation seem larger than it truly is.
Let's say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.
Before Terence Crawford, no boxer in history had ever become the undisputed champion in 3 different weight divisions, a feat that firmly sets him apart in the sport. This achievement reflects not only his adaptability, but also his power, skill, and ability to dominate across multiple weight classes. In contrast, Floyd Mayweather Jr. did not fully unify all major titles at welterweight or super welterweight during his career. Crawford, meanwhile, has managed to collect a more complete set of championships across divisions than any other fighter, a milestone that significantly enhances his resume. Because of this, many believe Crawford's accomplishments add a unique layer to his legacy, giving his career a distinction that is often discussed separately when compared with Mayweather's achievements.
Terence Bud Crawford defeats Canelo Alvarez and becomes the first ever male 3-division undisputed champion in boxing history. Thank God the judges got this one right. But wow, what a technical battle this was. It was a very close fight, but as it went on, Terence was getting more and more comfortable in there. I remember in the 7th round, he even stood right in front of Canelo and fought him on the inside. Then in rounds 9 through 12, Crawford really started to open up on his flurries, gaining Canelo's respect. But the reason Crawford won this fight was because he was surprisingly durable at 168. He was able to do his thing because for the 36 minutes he was in there with Canelo, he was never really worried about what was coming back at him. I mean, Canelo just kept going to Terence's right side of his body, and that stung a couple times, but those were the really only hard shots Canelo landed. Unfortunately, this is terrible for Canelo's legacy because the smaller man beat him up, and Canelo's kind of been cherry-picking his opponents the last couple years. But well-deserved for Terence Crawford. It's going to look amazing on his legacy. Boxing got it right tonight. On the biggest stage, with the most eyeballs, no controversy, just pure sport. And one of the best ever at the sport got it done tonight, Terence Bud Crawford.
Terence Crawford discussed the level of seriousness behind his preparation following his win over Canelo Alvarez, explaining that his training camp was specifically designed to build the strength and conditioning needed to compete effectively at 168 pounds, though he emphasized that the result was not accidental, but the product of careful planning, intense work, and complete confidence in his own abilities. According to Crawford, every stage of his preparation was intentional, with a clear focus on being physically ready for the challenge of moving up in weight. His reflection also highlighted his mindset as a competitor. He made it clear that he enters each fight with a purpose, aiming to improve his standing in boxing history with every performance. And he believes this current era of the sport is one where he intends to leave a lasting mark.
People that ran with that narrative convinced me that that was a narrative because I don't know the world as much. The thought of not having to lose weight is probably a happier. How was camp? Good camp.
It was great. It wasn't a camp that we was focused on weight, so we could just focus on my craft and focus on, getting stronger, which we was already strong, but, we don't know what we up against. So, we definitely want to make sure our body is prepared for whatever onslaught Canelo brings. So, of course, we're going to, cross our I's and dot our T's. And, that's what we did in training.
You looked unbelievable. You looked absolutely unbelievable. Not that you ever don't, but it's just like, God, this guy looks like he is very prepared. And then as the fight continued, it felt that way. Turkey Al Sheikh deemed you the fighter of the century. And obviously Ring Magazine and TKO come together to put this incredible event together. What has it been like, with the modern world of boxing now, that Riyadh season has gotten involved? And obviously Dana and Nick Khan of the WWE. And it feels like anything is possible in the boxing world now. Is that the big takeaway that we should think after you and Canelo fight and have the success? Or how do you kind of view it all?
Yeah, for sure. Anything is definitely possible. And a lot of people kept saying that what I was trying to accomplish.
That brings today's video to a close. Thanks for watching, and make sure you stay tuned for more content coming soon.